Hi Internet, I'm Tango, and these are Tango's Takes. Today is Friday, February 12th, 2021, and if you saw yesterday's take, you know that today's take is on the Lunar New Year. Now, as I mentioned in yesterday's take, you don't know what you don't know. When I went to go look up and verify what I understood about the Lunar New Year, I discovered that what I thought I knew was the size of a very small pond and is more like the size of a small puddle. So, I'm going to start with my misconception. I was under the impression that China and Chinese adjacent cultures were the only cultures that celebrated the Lunar New Year en masse. Wrong! Looking at the Wikipedia page, you could basically break down Lunar New Year into four distinct regional variations of Lunar New Year celebrations. And within those, there are a number of varying festivals and celebrations. When I talk about the Lunar New Year, people are going to think about what is known as the Eastern Zodiac or the Chinese Zodiac. Under that zodiac, this is now the Year of the Ox. There's also a color usually associated with that, but that's not as widely celebrated or acknowledged in Western culture. But that's also not the point of today's take. So, I am looking over here on this other screen at Wikipedia. Because while Wikipedia is not a source, Wikipedia is a great place to start figuring out what you don't know and go find better sources. Wow, that first line made me stop and reread it again. A Lunar New Year in some regions is based on the lunisolar calendar, which is the beginning of a calendar year whose months are cycles of the moon and cycles of the sun. And predominantly celebrated in Eastern and Southern Asia, in other parts of Asia. But here we go. This article breaks down four regional celebrations that work in similarity to each other. The modern Eastern Asian one normally begins in late January, early February. This is probably one of the later ones it could have been, which is why your birth year, if you were born in January or February, may not help you determine your Eastern Zodiac sign if you are into that kind of thing. Apparently, these are all influenced by the Chinese New Year and the Chinese calendar. The Chinese New Year is also known as Spring Festival, and because that was written in English and translated, I can pronounce that one. There's a Korean version, a Vietnamese version. Apparently there are two different Japanese versions, one before 1873, and Ryukyu, which I can pronounce because I lived in Japan, is the present version. There are others that were influenced by the history of China, notably the Tibetan and Mongolian New Years. We've also got South Asian traditions. Wow, that sentence is awkward. Influenced by Indian tradition, which marks the system of lunar months and a solar sidereal year. And a separate solar year exists in those regions which also use solar months and a solar sidereal year. I am not going to try to pronounce any of these. But there's one, two... Oh, wait, I can pronounce one of those. So I'll get back to it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, with 3 others influenced by it. But one of those is Holi, which you may have seen people doing the color runs kind of thing, which are drawn from that tradition as I understand it. The Southeast Asian Lunar New Year celebration is observed by local lunar solar calendar and is influenced by Indian Hindu traditions. One seems to be focused around Bali, Indonesia. And there's another one that is a variation on the Japanese New Year. Lastly, it even goes into one that is based in the Middle East, such as the Islamic New Year, which is tied purely to a lunar calendar. And you may have heard of the Muslim New Year celebration. That's apparently related. And in certain variations of Judaism, there are as many as four New Year observances, because each one uses a slightly different version of the Hebrew calendar. Folks, when we talk about the Lunar New Year and the major celebration, I don't think the way that we bring it up now in modern Western culture, we are referring to any of the Middle Eastern traditions. But the nearly 24 different Eastern, Southern, and Southeast Asian traditions are all what help influence what we think of as the Chinese New Year and the Year of the Ox. So, yeah. Get out there if you have friends of the appropriate cultures. Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, Japanese, Tibetan, Mongolian, a variety of Indonesian and Nepalese. That list just keeps going. Find out what the appropriate greeting is and what kind of simple things you can do to recognize it for them. Because I don't know anybody that doesn't recognize and doesn't want a good faith effort to help them celebrate part of their culture. And that's the fine line between cultural appropriation and not, is a good faith effort to understand and help celebrate. Stay safe and healthy out there, and I will catch you all next time.